Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. This is Bishart Ali, student of Sindh University campus Larkana from the Department of Business Administration. My roll number is 17. I am from the batch 2K90. This is a semester presentation which I am submitting to Sir Sartaj Ahmad Sanghi. My presentation is content on four very much important topics, including what is oral communication, types of verbal and non-verbal communication, telephone communication in business, importance of knowing presentation content. So let's start with the first question, that what is oral communication? Oral communication is the process of sharing ideas, information by word of mouth. Means it is the process of transmitting ideas, information, knowledge verbally. Oral communication either can be informal or formal. So informal communication examples are face-to-face communication, telephone communication, discussion that takes place at the business meetings. Then comes formal communication examples, presentation at business meetings, classroom lectures, commencement speeches given by graduation ceremony. So these were the differences between formal and informal, and it was the overall information about the oral communication. So oral communication means verbally transmitting messages, information, ideas, knowledge to one person or to group. Now let's move to the second question. And now the second question of my presentation is types of verbal and non-verbal communication. First of all, we should know that communication means imparting knowledge, imparting information through writing, speaking, or through any other medium. Communication has two types, verbal and non-verbal. So we will discuss first verbal communication. Verbal communication includes sounds, words, and speeches. Verbal communication help us to express our feelings, our thoughts through our speaking, through our words. It has types: interpersonal communication, small group conversation, public conversation. Interpersonal communication is a communication that takes place between two or more persons. Thus, it is called one-on-one conversation. In this conversation, these two persons will play a role of sender and receiver in order to communicate in a good manner. Then comes small group conversation. Small group conversation takes place when there are more than two persons. Here the number of people will be small enough to allow each participant to interact and converse with the rest. Examples of small group conversation are press conferences, team meetings, and then comes public conversation. Public conversation is a conversation that takes place. Actually, it is a conversation in which one person addresses the large group of people, like election campaigns, public speeches, etc. Now let's move to the non-verbal communication. Now the non-verbal communication. Non-verbal communication is a communication that we do through body language, from our gestures, from our expressions. So it includes such types which are facial expressions, paralinguistic, eye gaze. So basically there are so many types of non-verbal communication, but we are discussing most common. So facial expressions are responsible for the huge proportion of non-verbal communication. Consider how much information can be conveyed with a smile. The look on a person's face is the first thing that we see, even before we hear what they have to say. It includes nonverbal communication. Facial expressions include anger, sadness, happiness, etc. Then comes para-linguistic, refers to the vocal communication that is separate from actual communication. It includes uh, tone of voice, inflection, pinch. Then comes eye gaze. Eye gaze, eyes are the important uh, thing in non-verbal communication. Blinking and staring are the most important non-verbal behaviors. When person look at a thing or a person that he likes, the blink rate increases and pupils dilate. Looking at another person can indicate range of emotions, including hostility, uh, affection, attraction, etc. So this was the second question. Now let's move to the third. Now the third question of my presentation is telephonic conversation and its patterns. So telephone conversation is an exchange of information between two or more persons over telephone. Means sharing of ideas and information over telephone is called telephonic conversation. In this conversation, uh, these both persons cannot see each other but can listen each other and interact instantly. There is also a business telephone conversation. It is important. Telephone conversation is important part of business conversation in English, and it follows such patterns like someone answers the call and asks, "How may I help?" The caller makes a request to be connected with someone or for information. The caller will be provided information or will be connected to that person. If the person is not at the office at that time, he will be asked to leave a message for him. Then caller leaves a message or asks something else. Then phone call finishes. All the business telephone conversation don't follow this rigged scheme, but this is the basic outline for most telephone conversations. Suggestions recommended to follow while making telephone conversation. Make call an appropriate time. 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. is an appropriate time for business or office call. 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. is appropriate time for personal calls. Make sure of differences or be sure of differences when making an international call. And check number and dial it correctly. And give receiver enough time to answer the call up to 10 rings. Smile and provide information like your name, your identity, your organization, department, etc. Then identify the person you want to talk. Greet, provide the reason of your calling. Be courteous and patient, and be sure that your message is understood by the receiver or listener. And then, uh, if you are calling in a problem, uh, be patient, and you are to explain the reason several times to understand your counterpart, your difficulty. Then provide complete information to your listener if you want him to call you back. If you don't reach the intended person and want your call returned, leave complete message in which you have to leave your identity, your number, and your organization name. Then, uh, when you are end to call, don't forget to say or offer thanks and goodbye at the end of call. Be considerate of others who may share your phone. So this is how the telephone conversation patterns uh, looks, and this is the exact pattern that every business conversation should be followed. I hope the question has been clear. Now let's move to the fourth question. Now the final question, question number 4, importance of knowing presentation content. So it is very important to know, without knowing presentation content, presentation can't be effectively. So it is central thing that we should know and well prepared about our content. Second, it should be well organized. Also, it should be accurate. It should be, factual. Before, so make sure all of these things before adding whistles and bells along with it. Then it should be, uh, you know, in such a manner, means in a sequence wise. Then it matters a lot before you present it. You should know the entire things related to your content. Means you should go through the research. In research you will uh, collect the facts and figures. Then you can go to several sources. There are so many sources for collecting the content. Means you have books, you have magazines, even the internet, but internet is not much reliable. But books or magazine are perfectly reliable. So if you are an expert, you don't need to waste more time on your content. But if you are beginner, then you have to prepare a content very wisely and very in coherent way. Then your presentation will be effective. So thanks a lot. This was my presentation. I have given my best and I hope for the best. Thank you very much.